everybody, and welcome back to the 108th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I am your host, as always, Justin Alonso, joined on the other side of Discord by Nicholas O'Brien. How are we doing, Nicholas O'Brien, as we get into the trade deadline, the most annoying time of the year?
I'm clapping. If I don't know that,
It did
that
not
probably
pick
didn't
up.
pick
It
up.
did not.
Yeah, but I was clapping. I'm doing well. I'm excited because it's always fun to talk about trades and who's going where
I
and
hate
yada
it. I
yada. As
hate it
annoying as
so
it can be,
much.
as annoying as it is, I love it. I love reading everything. I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense. Or like, I love playing couch GM because obviously I know better. But no, I'm doing well.
And you want
Running
to
on
be
3 hours of
a
sleep. But
chair GM, table
yes,
GM, actual GM.
war table GM.
Yeah.
But running on 3 hours of sleep because decided to go to the game last night and had to work at 5 in the morning today. So besides that, I'm good.
Yeah.
How are you?
Ugh, tired.
Yeah.
Long day outside. And I had to ship something for work. And so I said, yeah, just go to FedEx. So I bring the shipping label of FedEx. This is for UPS. Go to UPS. Then come here. And it's, work.
Very
But
round.
anyways, trade deadline episode. So we're gonna kind of be talking a lot in the intro about almost like kind of Subway series wise, where we had a really long intro, then shorter Bronx and Queens, because we have a lot of names to talk about, a lot of overlap. Not gonna go too deep into the numbers, just because this would be a 5 hour podcast, and I'm tired.
Yep.
We both want to go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But let's start it with hitters because I feel like that's gonna be a lot shorter of a discussion.
For sure.
I literally only have third baseman written down. So I don't know if you want to, because I'm sure for the Mets, you probably have like center fields at second base and third base that you kind of like have written down. So I don't know if you kind of want to hint at those guys.
Yeah,
And
I mean, not to spoil
let's
some of
just,
the
what's the
Queens talk.
landscape look like? Is it a good landscape? Is it a bad landscape for that?
So far, I do not think this is a great. This is absolutely a seller's market. There is the top of the top, and then there's everything in between. There's so many teams that are like in between that you're not sure what they're gonna do.
Like, do you think
And then
what about the Cardinals? Like, that's the perfect example.
right,
Like, what are they
exactly.
doing?
Look at the Cardinals. Look at the Twins. I think those two and Diamondbacks. Cardinals, Twin, Diamondbacks. I think are
Guardians. I
the
would say that too.
Guardians too. Those four teams, we'll call it those four teams, are the epitome on the quote unquote issue of this trade deadline.
Rangers.
Because
I would even say Rangers.
we can go on and on.
Yeah.
There's like
I'm
half
just
the
proving your
American
point.
League.
I'm proving your point
Exactly.
saying adding all these names.
There's not a lot of teams that are like, yes, we're selling. And the teams that are saying yes, we're selling are selling for a reason because they're not good. Therefore, there's not a lot to take from it. So, with that being said, hitters wise, you have spoiler alert, Eugenio Suarez, which is above and beyond, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the Diamondbacks sell Josh Naylor for like a DH type, Ryan O'Hearn from the Orioles could be an option as well. But again, those are like DHs.
And even Eugenio Suarez, you could argue is a DH.
Right, because
Because
he's got
he's
off
such
on
a
the
bad
field.
defender. Like, yeah, he's a third baseman in name. And he's
Right.
not a good defender.
Right. And just the hitting market is not great. It's definitely a little bit better on the pitching side of things, but even then, still a lot of the same issues. There's, kind of top of the top, and then that's where you get into the, hey, this guy was good, now he's not. How good is he really? And is that team going to trade him?
There's one name in particular. I know exactly who the poster child of that is, and we're both thinking of Mr. Gallen.
Absolutely.
That's the poster child of. I think he is the the Diamondbacks are the encapsulation of this trade deadline of imperfect players on a team that you have no idea if they're going to sell or not.
Right. And like I'm just quickly looking at the Athletic big board. I think came out this morning. Like if you look at infield, they have Willie Castro. That's it.
I'm going to talk about Willie Castro. Do not disrespect my king.
Ryan O'Hearns, the Josh Naylors, and then, maybe Ryan McMahon, maybe Ozzy Albies. I don't think he gets moved. And then outfield, there's a lot of guys kind of like, I really don't think they're going to go anywhere. I mean, like, you got your Jaron Durants, Willer Abreu, Stephen Kwan. Those guys I can't see being traded, especially from the Red Sox. I don't think the
I
Red
was gonna
Sox are
say
selling
Quan's
at
the
all.
most likely out of the three, but even then, like that's so unlikely. Like I don't.
Right. And then you get to guys who are like not really needle movers, not to
They're nice
discredit them. They're
pieces.
right, like Taylor Ward, Ramon Laureano. They're not, a big splash, but it's like, hey, this guy can help us.
Just
But are they going to sell? I mean, the Orioles probably will trade Laureano, but are the Angels going to sell? Probably not, because they're fucking stupid.
the Angels don't know what selling is. They also don't know what buying
Yeah.
is.
Right. They kind of just
They are limbo.
stand pat in mediocrity
A-
to below mediocrity forever.
And just one thing too about Taylor Ward to put into perspective how weird this trade deadline is. I was looking into him for third base and looking at his stats at third base. Let me tell you, I quickly did not go much further.
Yep. Yeah,
That's
and that
to put in perspective. That's kind of where we're at.
yes, absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting because we're still a little more than a week away, 8 days away as of this recording. So things can change. Like if a team gets swept over the weekend, then boom, sellers. If
Yeah.
they sweep over the weekend,
Buyers.
boom, buyers.
Well,
So so much can change.
Even
in
like I'm
8
sure you
days.
saw the reports that came out today about Cease.
Yeah,
Like
that was new. And the Padres are in the thick of it.
Well, we'll get to that soon because we'll get into starters soon. But like that just goes to show we have no idea what's gonna happen. Half these guys could get moved, all of them, or none of them could get moved.
Yeah.
Because if you had nothing else to say about those, I was just gonna say like the main
really
kind of third base targets are, for me, that I kind of put together are Willie Castro, but he's kind of like a souped up utility man. IKF, Brian Hayes, Eugenio Suarez, Ryan McMahon. Those are kind of like the big ones that I feel like maybe you could toss an Arenado in there too.
Yeah.
But I don't.
But even
There's so much circumstances that go into Arenado that I don't. We also Arenado's been talked about to death, and nothing has happened for me to change my opinion on Nolan Arenado.
If anything, the way he's played has further like
nothing
confirmed
in a positive,
your opinion.
Nothing in a positive way has changed my opinion. But
I would agree.
Willie Castro getting a souped up. I saw someone call him a supercharged Oswaldo Cabrera. That
checks out.
Yeah, which is kind of showing my hand for the Bronx, but IKF is a guy that people forget won a Gold Glove, and I think it was 21 with Texas, maybe 2020 with Texas, and I think it was 2020 at third base. People forget he is a legitimately good third baseman. Brian Hayes is Oswaldo Cabrera, but twice as good of a hitter. But that's also not much saying because Oswaldo Peraza is maybe the worst hitter in baseball. Eugenio Suarez is the complete inverse of Brian Hayes. Ryan McMahon, I have no idea how I feel about him.
Yeah.
There's one thing that I look at and I see like, oh, McMahon could be pretty good. Then another thing I look at like, Jesus Christ, get him the hell away from me.
Yeah, this is definitely not the year that the Rockies would want to trade McMahon. I mean, a lot of the underlying stats look great, but then you look at the strikeouts, and it's just awful. Third percentile and K percentage at 31.5. He whiffs basically 35% of the time. He doesn't chase, but everything else. I think he would be if a team was planning on hitting this guy 7 through 9, I think you'd be all right. Anything else, this is not the guy you want.
For the Yankees, that's why I think he's a fine plan B or plan C.
I would say plan C, honestly.
But that's what I'm saying, where it's like, if you get top end guys in like relievers and starters, and then you get this, that's fine, honestly.
Yeah.
It's better than Peraza. I forget, McMahon grades out good defensively, right?
Yeah, excellent. Like
Yeah.
elite. He's
So
currently 90th percentile.
yeah, so you're getting a really good defender at third base. You're getting somehow a better hitter than Oswald Peraza. So yeah, but that's throwing my hand too much. How would you rank these five?
I think obviously it's Suarez, right?
Yeah.
In his own tier. I would probably go. I'm trying to think because
I know who's
IKF is a
sec.
rental. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure, right?
Mc.
Castro's under contract.
I think Castro's either a rental or has one more year. I know
Yeah,
McMahon has 2.5.
yes.
Brian Hayes, I don't know how many years, but I know it's 10 mil a year.
Brian Hayes is probably 5. So I'll
Okay.
sandwich it right now. Suarez 1, Brian Hayes 5. I don't think the bat's never gonna play. That just seems to be who he is. And look, obviously the platinum glove, what's it called?
Defense.
Defense. It helps, but you're not gonna just trade because he plays good defense.
Yeah.
I think if you're doing that, you might as well just get IKF. Willie Castro is a free agent after this year,
Okay.
so he would be a rental as well. So if that being said, I would probably go Suarez, Willie Castro, IKF, McMahon, get Brian Hayes.
That's how I would do it. I think depending on certain circumstances, I could see people swapping IKF and McMahon just based off preference, but I would prefer IKF.
Yeah, and just McMahon just.
The home
I'm
runs.
gonna look
I
quick
know.
to look
I
at
know
the
when
splits,
people go away from cores, they more like the home WRC plus goes down, away goes up, just because they get used to it more, whatever, yada yada yada. But that still scares me, and I don't want a guy adjusting to that.
Yeah, you don't want that adjustment in a pennant race.
Yeah, in
right?
not a pennant race, a division race.
Well, yeah. Let's see. His away splits. He has been an above average hitter once in his career, which was last year for 102 WRC plus away from Coors Field. So even more so. I mean, again, you're just getting probably a little more expensive Brian Hayes.
Yeah.
As good as these underlying stats maybe you get him away from Coors Field and he adjusts and he can play better. I'm sure that is absolutely a factor, but again, like we kind of just mentioned, you don't want to have to make that adjustment in the middle of a division race.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said. Did you have anything else on hitters that you kind of wanted to like?
I think the biggest thing, besides third base is probably center field. So just to touch on like center field, obviously it's Luis Robert. Is he going to get traded? What are the White Sox going to do?
He's not doing himself any favors.
Yeah, basically after this year, he has, I believe, 2 team options for $20 million, which are not looking too pretty the way he's been, call it, past season and a half. After Luis Robert, it's Cedric Mullins, who started off hot and has been basically abysmal ever since April. And then you got some of the Red Sox outfielders, which I genuinely don't think they're going to sell. The biggest one would be Jarren Duran. I'm not sure where that kind of
Well,
sits.
you'd also have to trade for tennis
as
rackets
of right now.
if you're going to do that.
Just a few.
But really quickly on Lubob, he does have 2 club options, 20 million for each one after this year. It would be his age 28, 29 seasons.
Yeah. With him, you're obviously just banking on the upside. You obviously know the type of player he can be. Even though his overall numbers look really bad, the one thing he has done really well this year is hit lefties. He has over 160 weighted runs created plus against lefties. So at the very least, at least this year, unless he magically just turns it on after being traded, he's going to hit lefties. I mean, look at 2 players this year in Gavin Sheets and Andrew Vaughn who left the White Sox and are having themselves likely their best years of their career elsewhere. So who's to say that Luis Robert, with the guy with the most potential out of those 3 players, who's to say he can't follow suit and just completely take off once he's traded?
Who's the guy from the Dodgers that got traded again to the White Sox and he just looked miserable
Miguel Vargas,
who looked like he wanted to just kill himself every single day.
And now
There's
he's having a
something
good
to
season.
that. There's something to that
There's an
where
adjustment period.
like you go to a really bad team, it's just like, why am I even playing? What's the point of even showing up every day?
Especially at the trade deadline, because like they just sold off everything. There's absolutely nothing you're playing for. What's the point?
And you wanna know who's the perfect example of that? Jazz Chisholm.
Right.
Where now he is maybe the best second baseman in baseball.
Second best second baseman.
Besides Ketel Marte. Besides Ketel Marte.
Best second baseman in the American League.
Yes. And if he didn't miss a month, it would probably be pretty close with him and Ketel Marte.
Likely.
Yes.
Likely.
But anyways, do you have anything else on hitters?
I got for hitters. Yeah, besides that, again, there's not much out there. There really isn't.
I'm going to rapid fire a couple of relievers. Just saying if you think they get traded or not, and then we're going to circle back. Okay?
Sure.
Ryan Helsley.
No.
Felix Bautista.
Yes.
David Bednar.
Yes.
Anthony Bednar.
No.
Emmanuel Clase.
No.
Johan Duran.
No.
Pete Fairbanks.
No.
Rafael Iglesias.
Yes.
Griffin Jacks.
Yes.
Kenley Jansen.
Yes.
Dennis Santana.
Yes.
The best Soto in baseball, Gregory Soto.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot. There's the bullpen, the relievers, I think, is where this trade deadline is going to shine. If a lot of these things play out. Because like you mentioned two Twins, right? Are the Twins going to sell? Are they going to sell both?
Don't they also have another guy that throws like 97, 98 and has like pretty good underlying numbers?
If it's the guy I have down here, it's probably Brock Stewart.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a guy I have written down as well. Brock Stewart looks really good. I forget his first name, but Colombi, lefty.
Alex?
Something like that. Not gonna lie.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, but lefty also in the Twins bullpen, so that's four guys right there. That's the one. Danny Colomb, I think is how you pronounce it.
Danny D.
Danny D.
Danny
Four
C.
relievers from the Twins. Four really good relievers, all having really, really good years. If the Twins decide to sell. As of right now, I believe they're about 4.5 games out of the wild card. I'm going to double check myself now.
There is no shot they win the division, too.
Yeah, they are 4 games out of the wild card. Yeah, no shot they win the division.
I think they're
the
like
Tigers
19 wins
seemingly
behind the Tigers or something. Like something crazy absurd.
They are currently 10 games.
Okay.
10 games. But still, that's a lot. So they probably should sell, but are they? I think the Pirates also have a really, really good bullpen for some reason. Like you mentioned, Bednar, Dennis Santana.
Well, the reason why the Pirates have a really good bullpen is because they don't sell them. They just don't trade these guys. Because David Bednar has been a trade candidate for, 3 years now? 2 years?
To be fair, he has been bad up until now. The past 2 years have been rough. But Caleb Ferguson also on the Pirates. He's having a good season.
Dude, the ex-Yankees on this team, they're like trade candidates.
Yeah. But, yeah, again, they're just good. There's a lot of good relievers, but also there's a lot of good relievers on teams you're not sure are going to sell. Because you also have guys like Shelby Miller on the Diamondbacks. Are the Diamondbacks going to sell? Because Shelby Miller, even though he's hurt right now. I was
going to say he just got hurt.
Yeah, strained forearm, a little scary, but he's having a good season. He would be somebody I would want to look into. Outside of that, Kevin Ginkel, he's having a rough season. Who else in that Diamondbacks? Honestly, I have not looked at Diamondbacks in a while. They are just completely torched by injuries. Holy crap. But Jalen Beeks would also be someone else, but he's hurt with lower back inflammation. But again, just to reiterate the point, there's a lot of good relievers. There's also a lot of good relievers on teams we're not sure what they're going to do.
Like just the ones that off the list I gave you, Ryan Helsley, who knows?
Right.
I'm just looking at the Class A, who knows? Duran, who knows? Fairbanks, who knows? Iglesias, probably. Jacks, who knows? Kenley Jansen, who knows? So it's like, because like you said,
Yeah,
like Kenley Jansen, if it was any other team in the situation the Angels are in, I'd probably say yes.
absolutely.
But
But
it's
it's the
the
Angels.
Angels, so I have no idea if he gets traded.
They're
Like how
s-
they could have got
they're
an
dumb.
absolute haul for Shohei Ohtani, knowing that they're not going to re-sign him. How they could have traded Mike Trout so many years ago, knowing that like his injuries probably aren't that good,
Right.
knowing that you're not going to do anything with. Imagine they traded Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout like 2 years ago at the deadline. They
Yeah.
would be. They, you thought the Juan Soto trade from the Nationals to the Padres was big. Woo! Just you
Yeah.
wait. But who knows? Duran and Helsley are very interesting to me
Yeah. For sure.
because
I think
Class A,
really. Yeah.
I don't think he gets moved. I think out of the list, if I had to say one that doesn't get moved, I think it's him. The Twins are so weird because they could trade some serious talent this deadline. Because you could Willie Castro, who I think is a very good player and should be a target for a lot of teams, could be a throw-in. Because you could do Joe Ryan, you could do Johan Duran. You mentioned what, like Griffin Jacks, Danny
Dan-
C,
um,
and then I forget
Brock
the
Stewart.
Brock Stewart. Yeah, so that's 6 guys that a lot of teams are gonna want.
Right.
They, they're, I feel like they are maybe an X factor of this trade deadline. If that makes them and the Diamondbacks.
I was just gonna say
Well,
that.
I
I
was gonna
think
say
Twins
of
and
the AL
Diamondbacks.
and of the NL.
Yeah.
The Twins
No,
of the AL,
100% agree.
Diamondbacks of the NL are kind of like, however they shift. Because say that the Twins trade Joe Ryan, they get an absurd haul for Joe Ryan. A lot more teams are going to be sellers because of that. Because they
Yeah.
see how much of a haul. Because even if they don't get that same value, they can say, "Look, Joe Ryan just went for this. We'll give you a little bit of a discount, even though it's probably
Right.
still an upcharge."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Definitely. Then outside of like big guys, just on the Twins alone, you got Harrison Bader, who's having a decent year. He plays a really good center field, and then Christian Vasquez, who's a decent catcher. He can't hit for anything, but for a team that needs a catcher, he might be someone that you're willing to take a flyer on because he's shown it in the past. But yeah, I mean, and then you got like Chris Paddock as well. So yeah, it's gonna be super interesting to see which way they go. But yeah.
yeah, and then did you have anything else on the relievers?
Da-da-da-da. Yeah, no, that was really it. I mean, you got maybe a few Rockies, like Jake Bird comes to mind.
Yeah.
But besides that, the Rockies are the Rockies, so there's not
There'll
much
always
to
be a
take
guy
from
or
there.
two that like you'll see in
Right.
Colorado be like, maybe I would like to see how your pitches look like outside of Colorado. Just see
Yeah.
like with more movement, less what's called. Yeah. But
Yeah.
going on to starting pitching, I think that do you want to let's just talk about Cease right away
Sure.
because I have no idea what the Padres are going to do with him because the Padres have done this in the past where they will trade someone off their MLB roster to get other MLB ready people. And so let's just say that Dylan Cease gets traded because he is probably the poster child of a positive regression candidate. Because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I know his expected FIP is like a point or more lower than his actual ERA.
Yeah.
So
I have it here now. He currently has a 4.64 ERA, a 3.46 expected ERA, a 3.49 FIP, and a 3.3 expected FIP.
yeah. So all the underlying numbers love him. He's disgusting stuff. Does he have one or two no hitters?
He has two.
Yeah, because didn't he have one with the White Sox?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so he's absurd. Teams have wanted him in the past, so a lot of teams already have like a lot of research on him. They all love him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Padres get an absolute haul for him. It just depends what team is willing to give up that much major league ready talent. Because because I have seen that the Padres apparently love JC Escarra. I'll get into that later.
Right.
But apparently they tried getting him last deadline.
Yeah.
So
I don't think it makes sense for them to trade him unless they're just completely blown away. Because I don't think there's anybody you will get back in a trade that will be good as Dylan Cease right now. Because right now, they have the third wild card spot. And, looking at the teams behind them, the Giants, the Reds, the Cardinals, I think it's a toss-up between the Giants and the Padres. But if they trade Cease, I think they're throwing away a chance at, a playoff push.
So I
And
completely forgot to mention him. Robert Suarez, do you think he gets moved? Their closer?
I don't think so. I don't think any Padre of substance gets moved. Like,
Okay.
no Robert Torres, no Dylan Cease. I think the Athletic was talking about Luis Arias. Maybe someone like Luis Arias who's replaceable.
Yeah.
Because despite popular belief, Luis Arias is very replaceable. Extremely. But I don't think it makes sense unless they think that this team just can't hit enough
Yeah.
in the playoffs and they kind of just call it quits. But I think then that's just a whole nother issue within itself.
You also can't give up a prime year of how many more years does Manny Machado have? I'm not saying on his deal.
Yeah.
I'm saying actual production.
Good years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years of production does Machado have? You know what I mean? Like, how many years of the Tatis, Machado, Merrill core are you going to have where they're hitting really good and playing really good?
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I do have a hard time seeing this team make it deep into the playoffs, but I think they can make it. I guess it depends. Does the front office think they can actually make some noise? Because that will decide everything.
I feel like you could also say, because I just thought about it, the argument we made for Kenley Jansen not getting traded is the argument that you can make for Dylan Cease getting traded. In the sense of just ownership being very crazy in one way. Where the Padres and AJ Preller are uber aggressive.
Yeah, like,
so it's
hypothetically, I don't think it happens. I don't think there's a good trade. But if the Yankees offered Ben Rice for Dylan Cease, just straight up, I think that's something they'd consider because it helps their offense and it obviously helps the Yankees pitching. Again, I don't think that's a good trade. I'm just kind of just throwing shit in the air.
You're hurting me saying that.
Yeah, I think it's a bad trade.
I think both sides decline. I know what you're trying to say,
Probably.
but I think both sides say no.
Yeah, but in the sense of good offensive
player for a good pitcher.
For Dylan Cease, right. I think that's something they would consider. But besides that, I also don't. Because they're waiting for Michael King to come back. I don't know when he's going to come back. He's been hurt since, like, end of May.
Yeah.
So it's not, they can technically replace Dylan Cease with Michael King, but.
And correct me if I'm wrong, because I also just thought about this for the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks have not changed ownership or, like, GMs in the last couple of years, right?
Not to my knowledge.
That could be another reason why they're not sellers. Just because they're like, look, we went on this crazy second half run and made it to the World Series. And in a year that no one believed us. We have the guys that we need, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that logic, because I feel like the Diamondbacks run was, I don't want to say fluky, because that's kind of disrespectful, was kind of like a special run.
Yeah, I think special is a good way to put it.
I don't think that they can, you can't replicate it.
Yeah. I think it's in the same breath of, the Mets last year.
I was going to say 2019 Nationals minus the World Series ring.
That too. Like, that's just something that just by the grace of baseball gods, things break your way.
All the gods.
You just, everything kind of comes together at the same time and you push through it. That's not something that's going to happen year in, year out.
That's a horrible organizational philosophy if you are banking on an act of God happening every year. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, and since we're talking about the Diamondbacks, might as well mention
Yeah.
their two starters in Merrill Kelly and Zach Allen. Now, including price, because I think the price tag is what makes this a very interesting convo. Who would you prefer?
I would prefer Gallen. I generally do think you can get him for a discount because of how bad he's pitched. And I'm willing to bet that you can at least make him a serviceable starter, like a 3-4 to the end of the year.
Because it's also a thing of, because we could call it for Yankees and Mets. What would he be in a playoff rotation for the Mets? Would he be 3 or 4?
As he's pitching right now, he'd probably be 4. I would probably want David Peterson to start over Zach Gallen.
If you could get a solid Zach Gallen as your 3-4 in a playoff rotation, that's awesome. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking about from the
absolutely.
Yankees' perspective, if you can have, because obviously you can't bank on Luis Heel, but call it one of Luis Heel, Schlittler, Warren, whoever you want to put, Yarbrough if he comes back and starts pitching, whoever you want to put in that 3 spot. But if you can have Zach Gallen as your 4, that's insane.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's what a lot of teams are looking at. I think that's kind of the value they see, that he comes up with ace upside. Worst case scenario, he's a solid 4, high 3, whatever, whatever you
yeah,
want to call it. Like good
3,
middle
4.
to back end of the rotation.
Yeah.
Merrill Kelly, on the other hand, he's probably more of a 4-5.
Yeah.
That's not a guy. Nothing against Kelly. He's an excellent pitcher. He's probably a guy that gets like 1 postseason start, but he's not a guy that, I'm not going to start him over David Peterson,
Yeah.
I guess.
And I want to see something right now because it just piqued my interest. Okay, never mind. It's very mediocre. Zach Allen has a 4.54 ERA in the postseason.
Right.
But let me look at. I want to look. Were they all? They're all in 2023. So, with that being said, in the
Yeah.
World Series, he did go 6 1/3, 1 run.
Right.
So,
Against probably one of the better offenses that year.
yeah.
So,
Against a team that literally said, ball go burr.
yeah.
But, anyways, that was those two. What do you think about Joe Ryan? Do you think he gets moved?
I don't think so. If I were the Twins, I probably would, because this is now like year 5 of kind of just like middling baseball,
Twins are in
year in,
limbo.
year out.
They're in limbo.
Yeah. I think not necessarily blow it up, but
Retool.
trading someone like Joe Ryan. Yeah, trading someone like Joe Ryan, who's an excellent pitcher and has a ton of years of control, can get you back a package that will help you next year and obviously the years after that. So again, if I were the Twins, I probably would consider it. As of right now, I don't think it happens.
I'm not
I
hanging the
think it's
phone
a
up.
long shot.
I think that's the best way to put it. The phone is
yeah.
on. The phone,
Yes.
the line is open, but I just want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot, but I think if they hear the right package, they'd be stupid not to trade him.
I agree with that. What do you think about Mitch Keller?
I love Mitch Keller. Very similar to Joe Ryan, besides the fact of, kind of like levels of the type of pitcher. I think Mitch Keller is an excellent back of the rotation guy. Like, he is someone I would absolutely love from August to September. He's going to take the ball every 5th day. He's going to pitch like 6 innings. He'll let up like 2 to 3 runs. He is a quality start merchant. I love Mitch Keller. He's not going to blow you away, but he's just so consistent in, again, taking the ball, going deep into games. And even that, he has a 3.53 ERA this year for 3.42 FIP. That's really good.
I know a lot of people also do think there is more that you can unlock with his pitches.
I agree. I mean, this guy's what? He was a 2nd-round pick.
Yeah. I forget what it was, but I've seen like a bunch of people that like I trust on social, on like Twitter, talk about how they think like certain pitches that if he tweaks them a little bit can go from like solid pitches to like really good pitches. Yeah. So that's also another thing too, that if you could get him to tweak a couple of things and then you get him as like your 3 in your rotation, like that's insane.
Right.
And he has how many years? He has a couple years of control, correct?
3.
After
he has
this
3
year?
years of control. Yeah, after this year's
Okay, so
3 years of control. Because I'm looking at his contract right now. A little under $17 million next year. Then it goes up to 18.5, and then 20.5 in the last year.
Too rich for the Pirates.
Exactly. So I think this is the time the Pirates would want to trade him, because God forbid they spend money. And again, I think he's just a really good pitcher. He could help out a lot of teams. I think he'd be more valuable down the stretch than, say, the playoffs, because again, he's just going to pitch deep. He's going to give you innings. You can rest your top, call it 3 guys well, this guy's kind of acting as your 4. And if he has to start a playoff game, I'm comfortable with that.
In a very weird way, because I thought about it, you could almost get away with not getting a lower leverage bullpen guy if you get Mitch Keller.
Yeah, I think I see where you're going.
You know what?
I
It's
see the
not
thought
perfect
process.
logic, but
Yeah.
if you have a guy that, I don't want to say mop up, but like a step up, you could get away with not getting like a 5th, 6th inning guy if you get Mitch Keller.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think that's where a
But
lot
again,
of the
he
value
pitches
comes
deep.
in Mitch Keller, being able to save your bullpen, because he's
Yeah.
not gonna you call him quality start merchant. I was gonna call him a walking quality start. So that is
That works.
exactly what he is, where he is going to give you innings. It's going to be pretty solid innings. It's not going to be incredible, not going to be horrible. It's going to be solid innings. And that's very valuable, especially as a 3-4. And
yeah, absolutely.
then you got a bunch of other guys like Sandy, who before the season, everyone was like, Sandy's the biggest guy. Yes, and now everyone's like,
No.
I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Get him out of Miami.
They hold on.
But you think
I think they hold on because he's just been so bad, and he's shown flashes of obviously the Sandy that we know, but I just think he's been so bad, if not a lot of consistency, that they're just not going to get the package they want. And look, to the Marlins' credit, or like in their fortune, I guess, they don't need to. Obviously, it's not like he's a free agent. They have him under control on a pretty team-friendly contract, even for the Marlins. There's no rush to trade him. Obviously, the earlier you do, probably the more you can get because the more years of control. But I don't think the packages are going to be that different between, July 31st and December 21st.
Yeah. I think if anything, it'll only go up, because I feel
Mhm.
like no matter what, like the year that he's having, it's not gonna be crazy. Like his value, I feel like maybe can go down a little bit, but it can also go up a lot. It's like a low risk, high reward move, probably to hold on to Sandy. So who knows what happens, but that's a very intriguing name. Then you got like 2 other guys like Tyler Anderson and Seth Lugo, where I don't know about Anderson. I know Lugo is in a walk year. Anderson either has the rest of this year or he also has next year. I know it's definitely not more than that. And correct me if I'm wrong. Anderson's still been. I know he was pitching really good for a while. Is he still pitching pretty good?
He's pitching fine. I think the Mets just faced him and he pitched well.
Yeah.
He is a free agent after this year, so he will be a rental, but he has a 4.43 ERA this year, and the peripherals aren't great, but it's a guy who will probably provide you
Your 5-starter
innings. Yeah, this is like your Paul Blackburn.
We also
really.
saw. I will also say we also saw what he was with the Dodgers, where he was really good with the Dodgers. So maybe there's something there. Maybe if a team wants to toss him in the bullpen, have a really good 2-inning lefty guy. That could be another thing a team's doing. Seth Lugo, I think the Royals would be kind of dumb not to trade him, because I don't really think you're what, like 3rd, 4th in that division, like that. They're kind of going back and forth with the Twins. I think they're 4th right now as it stands. But it's like you're not gonna win the division. I don't see a world in which you squeak into a wild card spot. So it's like,
and he has a player option at the end of this year, and he's making it's a $15 million player option.
So he's declining that.
Yeah, I do think he can make more as a free agent. So more likely than not, this is probably going to be a rental. So again, I think it would be a good idea for the Royals to kind of sell high, because also the peripherals aren't fantastic. I mean,
also
they're not
pitching
bad.
in Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah, his peripherals aren't bad, but they're definitely not his 2.94 ERA. He's more of a low 4s guy. So again, I think it would be smart for the Royals to trade him. And again, he's just another guy similar to Mitch Keller. He's going to take the ball every 5th day. He's going to pitch 6 innings. He'll give up 2 to 3 runs, and you call it a day.
Yeah.
And he has bullpen experience with the Mets, obviously. So come playoff time, you want to slide him to the bullpen. You know he's done it, and you know he can be successful with it.
Now, the last guy that I have, because I think he's a very out of left field name, but it makes sense, is Shane Bieber. Because
I forgot about him.
exactly, because he just pitched 3 innings of a rehab start yesterday, and the Guardians are fielding calls on him.
Really?
That there was reports that I saw that the Guardians were listening to calls about Shane Bieber. I forget how. I didn't really see how deep into the rehab process he was, but I do know he pitched 3 innings. It was either last night or the night before.
Yeah, just quickly looking, he has 2 starts under his belt with 4 1/3 pitched.
So he's probably built up to what?
So,
Call it 40 pitches, 45 pitches,
yeah,
maybe a little
that
higher.
probably sounds right. Maybe 50.
50, yeah, call it that.
Yeah.
He's at least like 2 starts away, you would think.
Yeah, you're not going to see him until mid-August.
When
probably.
you trade for him, he's most likely still going to be rehabbing.
Yeah, 100%.
He's going to still be rehabbing when you trade for him.
Yeah.
So
but that's interesting though. Yeah, I did.
You know what I mean?
He's not someone I considered at all.
Yeah. How it was a 1-year deal, right?
It was probably a 1 year with like a player option.
Yeah, because say it is a 1-year deal and it's not that expensive because he was rehabbing from Tommy John, and he's not that good. He just never comes onto the team. You don't have to DFA anyone to get him. It literally is a flyer with an insane amount of upside and not much of a loss. And it could also be a thing of, I don't think he gets traded. Either of them get traded, but say you go for a Class A Quan, one of those guys, Bieber could also be part of the package where it's like, yeah, we'll give you another prospect if you also throw in Bieber.
Yeah.
And we'll eat all the money or whatever, just something like that. So he's a really intriguing name because I would love for the Yankees to get him. I'm saying Yankees because I was gonna say my team, but then it'd be like my team is the Yankees. If I was a fan of any team in a playoff race, I would love for my team to get him just because there's no risk in that move.
Yeah, I would say the only dink is he has a player option, not a team option. So if he does stink, you're most likely stuck with him at $16 million. But I still think
with
he could be
the
like
pitching
solid.
market that it's at now, 16. Like, would you rather Frankie Montas making how much?
Like 17,
like 18?
Like that.
Would you rather Montas at 18 or Bieber at 16?
Montas looks okay. So like,
that's no. This is not a knock on Montas whatsoever.
No. I know.
It's more so just a for lack of a better term, commentary on the pitching market as it is right now.
Yeah. No, I get it. I do think that 16 million for Shane Bieber to probably be like a 4th, 5th starter. I think that's fine. Yeah. I think you'd be okay with that.
Just because the upside.
Yeah, absolutely. That too.
So it's like, that's all I had for the guys. Overall, I kind of compiled a list of all the teams that may be sellers, may not be sellers. We're gonna do the rapid fire again, and you're gonna unless you had. Well, did you have anything else on the starters or any other players?
No, I mean I think besides the ones we mentioned, there's just kind of those limbo teams. Like what are the Rays gonna do? Like someone like Zach Littell, is he gonna be traded? Are they gonna trade him? But besides that, maybe you got long shots like Mackenzie Gore. Mackenzie Gore's name has been floated around. I'm trying to think of who else. Edward Cabrera, his name has been floating around too, but there's a lot of guys with control that I just don't see happening. But again, their names have been floated out there, so it'll be interesting to watch.
And there is a reason why we did not mention Paul Skeens or Jose Ramirez.
That's not happening.
There's a reason we didn't mention either of those names. Just because I've seen people try to manifest it, and trust me, I would give up anyone on this team not named Aaron Judge for either of those players, but it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen. So don't for anyone, not happening. But I'm gonna run by these teams. Tell me, sellers, buyers, or stand pat, or just not buyers. Sellers or stand pat. Guardians.
Sellers.
Twins.
Stand pat.
Royals.
Sellers.
But we'll do stand pat, retool, sellers. Because there's a difference between sellers and retool.
Sure.
White Sox.
Anything that's not bolted down.
Rangers.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Retool.
Because that's another name that I forgot to mention. Nathan Eovaldi.
Right.
I don't think
Colby
DeGrom
Miller?
goes.
Oh,
DeGrom was a
DeGrom
much
goes.
bigger point of interest earlier in the year. I don't think at this point, with how he's showing that he could still pitch and not die, especially with like taking more velo off. Yeah, I know,
Shh.
knocking on my wooden desk, but they're a team I don't see that. Adolis Garcia is an interesting name. I agree. I probably would say Retool or Stan
Yeah.
Pat. One of the two. I don't think they sell completely. Angels,
Stan Pat.
Athletics,
Retool.
yeah. I've Marlins,
Anything that's not bolted down.
Braves.
Retool.
Outside Retool, I don't think it's a full on sell. Nationals,
Sell.
Cardinals.
Retool.
That's a tough one because
Yeah.
they have a over 500 record, but they
No,
also
I know.
have two of the best teams in baseball in their division.
And they also just DFA'd one of their starters.
Yeah.
So,
Pirates,
sellers.
Diamondbacks.
Sellers.
You think you're that's your
Sellers.
prediction. So the Twins and
Sellers.
Diamondbacks you think are both gonna sell.
Yeah, I think the Twins more at a lesser extent. I think Twins are kind of going to fall between the Stan Pat / Retool.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're going to trade, like, a Griffin Jacks, but that's it.
But not a Duran. I think they would trade
Right, not
Willie
a Duran.
Castro. I could see a Willie Castro getting traded.
Yeah, that's fair.
I really hope Willie
Yeah.
Castro gets traded. So, I don't know.
But Diamondbacks, I think they sell. I think Suarez is gone. I think Gallen's gone. I
They
think
have too
Kelly's
many
gone.
expiring contracts not to
Naylor
sell
as
at
well.
least some. Maybe not
Yeah.
all of them, but like 2 or 3 guys. Like, you got to move them. You got to
Yeah.
get some, because there's no way you're going to be
Maybe-
able to re-sign all of them.
Yeah, I think like Suarez and Gallen, I think, are gone.
Yeah. I could... Gallon or Kelly?
Gallen.
I think maybe Kelly, just because they'd get more.
Maybe. That's fair.
And so, I don't know there. Who knows? That's all I had. I don't know where we're going. So, pick a number, 1 or 2.
1.
Let's head on into the Bronx.
Into the Bronx. All right.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Bronx. If you did not listen because you skipped to the normal timestamp, we just did a very comprehensive review of the trade deadline and kind of just a lot of the guys that are available. Do we think they'll get moved or not? But before we get into the Yankees and there are a couple of games that they did play, your injury update brought to you by Triboro MD. Yeri De Los Santos will begin a rehab assignment, or he already did. Sorry, that is a little bit back. Oh, why am my brain hurting? Probably needs a couple more outings to come back. Definitely need the help. He throws a little bit fast. Not the best. Ryan Yarbrough, with that oblique strain, started his throwing program, but he's not progressing how they would like. So it kind of looks like it's going to be a late August, early September type of comeback, which not the best. Same thing with Fernando Cruz. They both got obliques in their non-throwing arm side. So I think there may be
Sure.
something to that. Because, like, think about it this way for a righty. Because it was Cruz's left oblique. He's kind of crunching down on that left oblique. You know what I mean? So I think there may be something to it.
Yeah.
Like, that's why Yarbrough was his right oblique because he's a lefty. Who knows?
I can see it.
Yeah, Cruz said that he felt, quote-unquote, awesome after his most recent session.
Sure.
So we'll see. That kind of he seems to be a little bit ahead of Yarbrough. It also helps that he is a reliever and not a starter. Then the big one, Luis Hill. He has started a couple of rehab games. He threw 57 pitches over 3 1/3 in his last one. He's gonna have another one today. I don't care if he lets up runs. He has a bunch of strikeouts. All that matters is that he gets his innings in. I don't care if he let up a run or two. Come back, please. He looks like he may be back in July. I kind of hope he's not, because I think in early August, just let him make sure he's fine. Lots are tricky. You kind of need those to pitch, so let's just wait on it. Don't
Take it
rush him
slow.
back. We have a lot of guys that I think the Yankees kind of want to see what they're made of before he comes back. So definitely got to come back. I could take a second to breathe a little bit, but very quickly, I'm going to recap the couple of games. So you had game 1 coming out of the All-Star break. They play the Atlanta Braves. You start game 1 with I knocked off my webcam. I'm sorry if anyone could see that. Game 1, you play the Atlanta Braves coming out of the All-Star break, and you do a bullpen game. What is your thoughts on it? The reason why is because Cam Schlittler was supposed to start. Wasn't bouncing back a little bit, had a little bit of shoulder soreness. Not a big deal. He ended up pitching on Tuesday, and I think he pitched really well. What's your opinion on that and them not doing something else?
I think it's just the optics obviously are just really bad, right? It just looks dumb, but in the same breath, I'm not sure what else they could have done depending on when Schlitt,
Schlittler.
Schlittler, yeah, Cam. Uh, Depending when he reported the shoulder soreness, I think changes a lot of the thoughts.
Yeah.
Like if it was the day
Day
of,
before.
like, or even day before, it's kind of like, all right, what are you gonna do? But if you kind of knew this days in advance, it's like, all right, why couldn't you get maybe, I don't know, get Carrasco in for a spot start?
Winus, however you pronounce his
Right.
name, who started.
Exactly. So I think the optics just look really bad, but I think it's just a happen of circumstance. It is what it is, and unfortunately, that's just the way it kind of played out.
I would be a lot more mad if they lost the series. You had just one thing. You had the Oh yeah, they also started Ian Hamilton. And I just thought this was funny how there was a 3-2 count and Ian Hamilton asked for a ball and then he threw a ball and it was just not even in zone. It's like, yeah, buddy, it was the baseball. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
And you had the Jorbit getting thrown out by an absurd throw by Acuna, but like, dude, you're really dogging it down the line. Like you're jogging there, like, dude. You know Acuna has a cannon of an arm. You're a fringe roster guy. You gotta at least slide. Maybe like if you're jogging and then you slide, sure, probably safe. That's bad. He's probably gone by the deadline. Will Warren had a bad start. Really was just one bad inning in the second game, but they ended up just coming back somehow in that game. They were down 5-0, then they were down 7-2, then they made it 8-8, and then Trent Grisham in the ninth inning said, "See ya!" Hit that incredible grand slam. Yankees win that. And then just game 3, Mark Stroman, he was really good. He had 6 innings. He let up 1 run, which was a home run, solo shot to Matt Olson. What are you gonna do? Matt Olson.
Tip your cap.
And that was in the last inning of work too, so it could have just been a thing of that. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because Marcus Stroman, I don't know if it was the second in a row, but it was the second start coming back that Ben Rice caught him.
Interesting.
I don't know if, and I remember in the other start he pitched really well. If that's something they may want to do, because kind of blending into the trade deadline talk, JC Escarra, there's been a lot of buzz that teams wanted him last deadline, and he's shown more in the majors to be more alluring to teams. And because say what you want about the bat, he's a catcher with a bat, but he's an awesome defensively. And the Yankees are known for pumping out these catchers, especially like defensively, just how good they are defensively. I could see a team like the Padres, how I mentioned with Dylan Cease, they really like him. The Padres and the Yankees have done kind of the like, we'll give you our strengths for your strengths type of trades.
Yeah.
Look at it last year with Juan Soto. So, I don't know. That could be an option. But, because it almost feels like they're edging out JC Escarra. Because are you really going to have, like, Wells in a 2, let's just call it 2 turns through rotation. Are you really going to have Austin Wells start 4 or 5 games? JC Escarra start 2? Ben Rice start 2-3 games? Like, I don't feel like you need that much. And I feel like at that point you're just wasting the roster spot. And if you could if you could put JC Escarra as, call it, a secondary piece in a trade,
Yeah, if
You know
that's
what I
what
mean?
gets done, gets a deal over the line, then yeah, you absolutely go for it. I think the issue arises with just like the wear and tear on Ben Rice, technically being like the backup catcher. Like, is he gonna play every day he's not catching?
But they're also
If
only
he
playing
is,
him like 4 days.
fair.
They're only playing him like 4 days a week, maybe 5. So it's like, because you currently have that logjam, and
Yeah,
that's a
fair enough.
solution to the logjam. That's another reason why, I think it just makes a lot of sense for him to almost be Escara to be put in a deal as part of like a sweetener to get the deal done, and then you have Ben Rice catch a lot more because he hasn't been like, I'm not gonna sit here and say he's been the best catcher in the world. I haven't had an issue with him. I think he's probably around average, like defensively as a catcher, but that's also in a very short sample size. And I'll say it again because it's kind of crazy that I have to say it. He got drafted as a catcher, came up as a catcher, and last year he started playing first base. So this
Right.
guy, by all intents and purposes, is a catcher. The only reason why he was not a catcher last year is because they're like, damn, we don't have a first baseman, and we have Austin Wells, who's our future at catcher, and we have a Platinum Glove winning Jose Trevino as his backup. That's the only reason why he did not catch last year. So
Yeah.
and there was also a million catchers throughout the system. Carlos Narvaez, Luis Torrens, yada. You could go on and on about
So
how
on
many
and so
catchers they
forth.
had. So I really think that that's kind of their plan. That he's the primary backup at first base and catcher, and he's just in DH, and he's just playing, call it 4 or 5 games a week at a different position. He may play 4 games a week at a different position every time. One at DH, one at first, one at catcher.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I'm just concerned if that will like tax, like what's the tax going to be on him because of that. I'm not. Is his offense going to take a dip because he's catching maybe more regularly, or he's just having more catcher duties is just a lot to deal with, while also needing to stay fresh at first base, and then you're at DH and you gotta hit, and if you're not hitting at DH, then what are you doing? Then you got the catcher stuff. It's a lot to juggle, and it probably does make sense to get rid of Ascara, but I'm not sure how Ben Rice comes out of it. I guess is kind of where
That's
I'm a little concerned.
I would be if he was playing 6, 7 times a week. But at this point, he's just not playing, and you have to get him in this lineup. Granted,
Yeah.
I could talk all I want about the Yankees offense. I'm pretty sure they're first in every single like important category, like WRC plus, home runs, runs. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're first in every single one of them, if not like second or third. So the offense is an issue. The reason why I think the only reason why I think they should make a move for the offense is because you have quite literally the worst hitter in Major League Baseball in Oswald Peraza at third base. It's a thing of if you can get a okay to below league average hitter, you raise the floor so much. That's the only reason why we're talking so much. If Oswald Peraza was a league average to a little bit below league average hitter, I don't think they may need to make a move for third base. I think it would be nice,
Yeah.
but I don't think they need to. But now
Yeah.
it gets to the point where if someone goes down and Oswald Peraza is like not the least of your concerns, that's a concern.
That's a problem. Yeah.
So it's
That's a
like
bigger concern.
that's where the issue comes in. So that's almost where
I agree.
that's why I personally love Willie Castro, because I think a very underrated part is I think that Anthony Volpe has not been good lately. He has not been good at all. At the very least, I don't think you should trade for insert star shortstop. But I think
Yeah.
you definitely need someone there to, at the very least, spell Volpe some days. That's why I love a Willie Castro. I love an IKF, because if you need them a day here and there to play shortstop to give Volpe a day, you can do it because you just don't have someone that can play shortstop outside of Anthony Volpe. And there is something to the fact of you look at Anthony Volpe before long periods of rest and after long periods of rest, he plays a lot better. So it
Yeah.
truly is a
I
thing
remember
of,
we've talked about that a few times
yeah,
too.
there isn't an easy solution to Anthony Volpe right now. There's not.
No.
George Lombard is, if you are lucky, George Lombard is a September call up next year.
Yeah.
if you're lucky.
Right.
So he realistically, let's just say George Lombard is 2 years away. He is not, I don't care. He's 20 years old. He has like a 660 OPS in AA right now. Now, granted, I don't think that's going to last. I think it's going to continue to rise the more and more confident he gets because it has been rising more and more. But he is not even close to ready. Let's stop it with the Lombard talk because it's what happened to Anthony Volpe is being done to George Lombard right now, where people just had these crazy, absurd expectations for him, and then when he doesn't live up to them, it's like, now
How
granted,
could this happen?
Volpe could be better, granted, but
Yes.
that the point still stands.
No,
And
absolutely.
so that's why Willie Castro. That's why I almost like Willie Castro more than Suarez because I also think he's going to be a good bit cheaper. So
Definitely 100%, he will be cheaper.
So like and I also just like Willie Castro is also just a much more complete player, and the defense has been an issue for the Yankees on that the left side of the infield the defense has been a serious issue for the Yankees. It's only gonna get worse with Suarez, and Willie Castro is kind of like that middling, at least like average-ish at third base. That's why I like IKF though, because I think he could be a really good defender at third base. And people forget, IKF's second year with the Yankees, he was really good. The first year he sucked, but that second year he was a serviceable player. If you get a serviceable player for cheap at third base and you could spend a lot more on, call it a starter or reliever, I am A-okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go. It's not a high bar to improve at third base.
That's the thing.
But I think it needs to be done.
That's the thing. You can very easily significantly improve at third base, probably more than any other team in baseball, because of how low of a bar it is right now. Like, I don't want to rag on Peraza because I do think the Yankees kind of did like mess with his development a little bit, but then again, he has had ample opportunities to prove or like to show himself. But it's just
it just hasn't worked out, and sometimes it is what it is. But the Yankees have cornered themselves because they didn't do anything in the offseason to now having to add a third baseman on top of, bullpen and maybe a starter.
You ready for the segue?
Go for it.
This is a perfect example of why we thought Oswald Peraza, Anthony Volpe were going to be the future a couple years ago. And they didn't go after that big shortstop class because of that reason in free agency. Because, we have this. That is the perfect example of why you cannot just look at prospects and say, we have them in the minors, we'll be fine. That is why the Yankees cannot say, we have Spencer Jones, don't go after Kyle Tucker in the offseason. Now, speaking of Spencer Jones, I have no idea what the hell to make of him. Because the contact numbers have been rising. And he has, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's about like a 1,400 OPS in like 20 games in AAA. He has the highest WRC plus in the minors, and I think the second most home runs in the minors. So he is just on another level right now. I do have those concerns about the just about like the strikeout rates and the contact rates, but a lot of sites that were like pretty negative on Spencer Jones have started to like turn around on him, because Baseball America I think had him as like the 8th or 9th ranked prospect going into the year for the Yankees, and now they have him up as the third prospect for the Yankees, and I think he's gonna slide into their top 100. So I think a lot of outlets are kind of coming back on him, and it's also a thing of, at the end of the day, this boils down to, do the Yankees believe that the strikeout numbers are survivable? If the Yankees, because if I'm Brian Cashman and I think that the strikeout numbers are survivable, in my mind, he is untouchable. Because if the strikeout numbers are manageable with Spencer Jones, you are talking about an all-star player every year because of the floor that you have, where he's an awesome defender in center field, and he is a very, very fast. You have a very high floor if you think the strikeout numbers are manageable. If you are not sure if the strikeout numbers are manageable or not, this may be one of the hardest decisions to make on a player that I've ever seen.
Yeah. I think I personally would move him for the right price, but I don't think there's anybody that will be traded this trade deadline that will warrant trading Spencer Jones.
There are a couple people on the block that I am willing to trade Spencer Jones for, but I am not. I don't think those guys get moved. Like Emmanuel Clase, depending on what else is in that package, I probably do it. Joe Ryan, depending on what else is in that package, I probably do it. Paul Skeens, do you want my left kidney too?
Yeah.
Like, Jose Ramirez, you want my right one as well? That's what I didn't even mention those two. Like, they're not happening. But
yeah,
I don't. It's such a. What happens? Whatever the Yankees decide to do with Spencer Jones is going to determine how people view this Yankees farm system for the next 5 years. And their player development for the next 5 years. Because I do think there is a little bit of people underrating the Yankees farm system every year in, year out. Because if every year for the last 10 years, I've heard, or 5 years, I've heard the Yankees have a horrible farm system. They always walk away with one of the best players at the trade deadline. They walked away with the best player at the trade deadline last year in Jazz. So, and you have a lot of guys that Baseball America, because I'm just referencing it, because they kind of like started doing more like their prospect lists and all that. They mentioned guys like Carlos LaGrange, I think that's how you pronounce it. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz. I always think of like Elmer Fudd when I say his name. Him. There's another pitcher. Schlittler. Those are three guys that they said like, yeah, they some of them are probably going to be in our top 100 list. So that may be 5 guys that the Yankees have in the top 100 list. And Lombard's going to be really high up there. Schlittler's probably going to be really high up there. So you have a lot of guys that pretty underrated farm system. I don't know. It's just a minor thing that's annoying me because if they've had a horrible farm system the last 5 years, how are they walking away with top end talent at the deadline every year?
Yeah. And that's just the disparity also between public and
I was going to say the media perception
private
versus
perception.
the media versus industry. That's kind of the best way to put it. So, because again, we don't have, correct me if I'm wrong, but AA and single A don't have StatCast data.
No.
So
not public.
We only have public StatCast data for AAA. We don't have the other data that these other GMs and all that have. So we can look at it. We can look at stat lines, but sure, you get box score stats in the majors because a lot of these guys are developed, but in the minors, you just cannot box score stat. You cannot go based off stats because you'll see guys that get drafted in the first round with like a 3.8 ERA out of college. And it's like, oh, a 3.8 ERA and ERA in the fours? No, it's just because they have absurdly insane stuff.
Right.
So it's what the Yankees do because they have so many prospects that I think Lombard, outside of Paul Skeens and Jose Ramirez, because I don't think they get moved, I would not trade Lombard. Spencer Jones is where it gets very like.
Yeah. As of right now, I'm not trading him for anybody this deadline.
Because he's. You asked me a month ago, I say yes. The absolute tear he's gone on though is. That's why to me, oh my god, again. That's why to me it really is a thing of if I don't want to make I can't say if Spencer Jones will be good or not because I don't have the data. If I'm whatever the Yankees think of Spencer Jones is where my decision lies. Because if they think that the strikeout numbers are manageable, you better not trade him. If you're not sure or you don't think they will, trade him. I think that's really where it comes down to at the end of the day.
I think that's fair.
And then just for the starters, Dylan Cease, I mentioned him. Maybe just because the Yankees and Padres had that history of like kind of like going back and forth with that. They really like Escara. I would say the Yankees are, I'm putting this in heavy air quotes, are one of the favorites for Dylan Cease. I'm saying heavy air quotes because I don't think he gets moved. But if he were to get moved, he'd probably be top 3. Like top 3 kind of like finalists, I guess you could say. Merrill Kelly, Gallen, they're interesting. You're not trading Spencer Jones for either of them. I forgot to mention the report that came out from the Yankees Spanish play-by-play radio guy. I forget his name and I feel so bad for forgetting it, but he said that there was a deal on the table with the Diamondbacks where he didn't say which team proposed it, of Suarez, Merrill Kelly, Jalen Beeks for 5 prospects headlined by Cam Schlittler. Sounds a little crazy, but it's also 3 rentals.
Yeah.
I
I think Kelly has another year.
thought Kelly was a rental.
If I'm
You fact check me on that.
yeah,
But like, I don't.
that
It's
seems
tough.
like a lot.
It seems, and also Jack Curry did say something along the lines of like, there's names being linked to the Yankees right now that the Yankees aren't interested in.
You're right, by the way. Kelly is a rental.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
So, I don't know. I
Yeah.
have a feeling that the Suarez stuff is just like, oh, Yankees need third baseman. Suarez is the best bat on the market, and he plays third base.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they want more of a kind of league average hitter that's going to be cheaper, that's better with a glove.
Yeah.
I would love a Eugenio Suarez, but he may not be the best fit for what the Yankees need. Because, again, the Yankees offense is insanely good right now. You have Cody Bellinger and Jazz, who are probably the best multiple supporting hitters that Aaron Judge has ever had. And Stan has started to hit home runs again. He was roasting the ball in Atlanta. He finally started to actually like get the power. You knew it was just a matter of time. So this is kind of the best overall supporting cast Aaron Judge has already had. You don't need, like last year, no, they need a star. They need like a big guy at third base, whatever, yeah, because that way you can move Jazz back to second. You can figure it out from there, yada, yada, yada. But this year, they don't really need that. And I'm almost doing a disservice to the relievers and starters because they, I think, are a lot more where they're going to be dipping their toes in. I could see them getting a Shane Bieber, a Sandy, a Tyler Anderson, a Seth Lugo, kind of one of those not 1, 2, 3 guys, but 4, 5 guys.
Yeah.
Or the borderline, call it borderline 3, 4 guys, like a Merrill Kelly. So, I don't know. Relievers, I think you got to go someone with velo. Because Cam Schlittler, as much as I love him, I think he's very good. I've seen so many people saying like, oh, just trade for X starter and kick Schlittler into the bullpen. He has been a starter his entire life. He only has 2 games in his major league career. You want to toss that guy in the bullpen and say, yeah, he's our 8th inning guy in the playoffs? That may work. That may very well work. You're confident and you're saying that's a very good thought process? I don't know. I don't think you could just toss him in the bullpen and be like, yeah, do this, even though you've been a starter your entire life and you've never been a reliever. A guy that only has 2 start. It's different if he's like a 5, 6, maybe 7 inning guy, but is it 8th inning guy? That's like
right. Yeah, no. I think if you're doing that, you need to ease him into it. But I do think his
Oh no, I think his stuff would play really well in the bullpen, but it's more so just about a comfortability.
Acclimation.
Yeah, acclimation, yeah. About if he could actually, I think the stuff will play. It's just a thing of if he can do it.
Yeah. Now, my one question to you is with the starters, you have your game 1, game 2 starters in Rodon and Fried, right, in a playoff series. Who do you start game 3? Would that be Luis Gil, ideally?
I was going to say, I'll answer with a question. My question is, where's Luis Gil at?
Right.
Because that changes everything.
I think so as well.
Luis Gil is the box from Family Guy, where you could either get $25,000 or you could get a box. I don't know what's in the box. Could be anything. $25,000 is nice, but it could be anything in this box. That's almost what Luis Gil is. Obviously, that's doing a little bit of disservice to Luis Gil because he's better than anything, but you don't know how he comes back from it.
Right.
So,
like, would you be comfortable starting Will Warren game 3?
I think whoever the Yankees start game 3, I will be comfortable with them starting because I think it will figure itself out.
Okay.
Because I think they have enough guys with a low enough floor for me to say one of those guys is going to pan out for me to be confident in our number 3 starter, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Because
Because I think I was just
you got
really to wrap up like my whole thought process is I think where the Yankees need to improve the most is like that 3 starter range. Like you don't need an ace. You have that in Rodon, you have that in Fried. You need that mid-tier guy, and someone like Zach Allen. I would for
I
the
would
Yankees,
kill for Zach
I would
Allen.
prefer Merrill Kelly
Yeah,
over a Will Warren starting in Game 3.
I would agree with
So
that.
I think that's the sweet spot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And the thing with Zach Allen is I would love to just be like, yeah, toss him in the Matt Blake pitching lab. But
Who knows?
who knows? I don't want to risk it when you just need a guy with a high floor for the Yankees starter wise. Relievers, get a bunch of guys that throw fast and only have one pitch and you think can make a second. That's really where I'm at. Like there's so many guys that we could talk through. I think my favorite thing for the Yankees right now is a package of the Twins of Willie Castro and a reliever. We mentioned 4 different guys. One of those 4 guys and Willie Castro is probably my favorite thing right now that the Yankees could do. The other favorite would probably be a combination of 2 of the 3 of IKF, David Bednar, and Mitch Keller. However you want to sort that. Just 2 of those 3 guys in a package, and then you send them whoever based off that package. Those are kind of the 2 things that the Twins and the Pirates are kind of, for me, it's Twins, Pirates, Diamondbacks are the teams that I want to trade with. Or like I'm most interested in trading with.
Yeah.
At least for right now. Because of course, if Dylan Cease is on the market, really, then we have a much different story that we're talking about. But
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
then very quickly, because we did mention him a lot, Schlittler had a up and down start in Toronto, but against a team in Toronto that loves to work the count, they strike out the least in baseball. 5 innings, 2 runs in a must-win game. Pretty good.
Perfect. I think that's all you can ask.
In Toronto, too, which has been a house of horrors for the Yankees. Pretty good. Then you had game 1, you just bad. Rodon did not look good. He was very up and down. You had 2 errors that just cost you runs, one by Peraza, one by Volpe, that were just not good. Then game 2, you had another error by Volpe that ended up leading the tying run to score. You had Jonathan Loáisiga where he was put in the 7th inning of a tied game. Why? I love Jonathan Loáisiga. He has been getting killed this year. He's just been getting lit up. I know it's a thing of like who really else because Mark Leiter's not here. Fernando Cruz not here. Ian Hamilton is a shell of himself. Tim Hill is more of a specialist guy that you don't want to put in the 7th, 8th inning every single time. You can't use Weaver and Williams every time, and they've both pitched incredible. I think people aren't talking enough. If we had more time to talk about it, I'll talk about how incredible a turnaround Devin Williams has had, but I don't really have enough. Don't want to harp on that for too long, but you need. That's why you need 2 bullpen guys.
Yeah.
You get 2 bullpen guys, and then you could trust one of Leiter / Cruz coming back, and that's 3 bullpen guys that you're getting.
I would even argue that you need one. You need like a Dennis Santana, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you can hopefully with Leiter and Cruz come back. I think that's more than enough.
I think we should need a solidified guy more than anything.
That's fair.
I would love a solidified. My ideal thing is a solidified guy and a project guy.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can only choose one, I think we just need a solidified guy. We don't need to mess around with it. I don't need a guy that's an 8th inning guy or like the potential of being an 8th inning guy. I just need a guy that gets outs. That's all. Yeah. I'm thinking a Tim Hill type thing, right. Where just a guy that you think you. Or no, Tim Hill was a project. That's a horrible example. That's a god-awful example. I'm trying to think of who would even fit into that mold. But a guy that's not going to cost you much, just gets out. It may not be pretty, just gets out. That's and then Ben Rice, got to give him the credit for the walk-off, or not walk-off, the home run in the 9th inning off of, who's their closer again? I forget.
Jeff Hoffman.
Jeff Hoffman. I was gonna say the guy that backed out of the Orioles, or the Orioles backed out of the deal. How Jeff Hoffman struck out Ben Rice to end the game on Monday. Ben Rice first pitch takes him deep to give the Yankees the lead on Tuesday. You love to see that from Ben Rice. Please play him more. I did not do the lineup today because you did it for me. Is he playing today?
Welcome. Ben Rice is playing today. He's clean up at first base.
Okay, perfect. Need to see that. But
I
then
agree.
after this, must-win game in Toronto because you're 3 games behind the Blue Jays. If you go 4 games behind the Blue Jays, that's really bad. You go 2 up, and I'm pretty sure that if you win this game and then you sweep the series against the Blue Jays, you would have the season record against them. So this is a very important game for multiple reasons for the Yankees. Also for the reasons that the Red Sox are red hot and they're right on your ass. So, got that. Then you got an off day. You got a 3-game set against the Phillies. Not going to get much easier. The Yankees have a very brutal, call it 2-week schedule. Then I think they have the easiest schedule in baseball after that. You need to win a lot of these games. If you can come away winning this game, and if you win this game in Toronto and then win a game against Philly, sure. You just really need to win this game in Toronto for multiple different reasons.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree. It's not even from a standings perspective because even 4 games out at this
Sorry to
rate,
cut you off, especially with Max Fried on the mound.
Yeah, no.
Especially with Max. This is why Max Fried got the money. He is your stopper. He has been the stopper so far. This is what he's done. You need to win this game.
Yeah, but I think just from a morale standpoint, winning this game means everything. Like 4 games back, you can come back from. It's not that late. Like you're just at the cusp of it kind of being a little too late. But just from looking at like, hey, we went in there to their home. They've been playing really good.
They were
We took
laughing
2
at
out of
us after the
3.
sweep.
Right, we're 2 games back. Like we can, get back up and take this division.
I will also say the vibes have felt a lot different after the All-Star break. Like the game 2 in Atlanta does not feel like it would have happened before the All-Star break. Like just that ever since that Mariners game, really, the vibes have just felt different of when they came back in that Mariners game, because then you had the crazy comeback against the Braves. You had the game on last night on Tuesday where it just felt like, great, how are they going to lose this one once the game got tied? But no, they hit a really good closer and they win it. The vibes feel different. That could very much so not be the case if they lose tonight.
Yeah.
So
It also, the vibes could just be winning. Sometimes that's all it is.
Yeah. That's all
So
I
good.
got. If you want to take us away.
Yeah. Yeah, so that being said, let's head over on to Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Queens. We got some trade deadline talk. If you skipped the intro, I
Go back.
recommend watching the intro. Go back. We kind of set the landscape, did all of that good stuff. Who's going to sell, who from those teams could be potential targets, and kind of just all the foundation you need to know what's going on this trade deadline. And of course, we'll talk about the series against the Reds and the Angels that the Mets played at home. But really quickly, a super quick injury report brought to you by Triboro MD. Starling Marte and Jose Buto are back, activated from the IL past 2 days. They're back. Both made appearances in Wednesday's finale against the Angels. Now, we'll talk about the trade deadline first, because it can kind of just all seem together with the games. But I listed out the 4 needs for the Mets in order. I say they need a front-end bullpen guy. They need a back-end bullpen guy, center field, and then maybe a starter. David Stern said, I believe his press conference was yesterday on Tuesday, that for third base, he expects the group that's here to kind of make up the third baseman for the rest of the season. That being Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio, and Mark Vientos. And with that, I would agree. I think that's fine. I'm honestly have become very comfortable with Brett Beatty, with Ronnie Mauricio at third base. Those two guys specifically have done very well on defense and have provided enough offense to make it viable to play them nearly every single day. With Brett Beatty kind of getting the edge, playing most of the time. I can't remember the last time he wasn't in the lineup because they also like to play him at second base a lot. So I think third base is fine. And I do agree that center field is, if you're going to upgrade a position player, center field is where you're going to do it. Because Jeff McNeil is an excellent ball player. He's been one of the better hitters on the Mets. Tyrone Taylor is an excellent defender. But as of right now, you need to start McNeil because Tyrone Taylor has just been absolutely nothing. He's been a non-factor on offense. But the issue arises, I am not comfortable starting Jeff McNeil in center field in a playoff game.
I was about to ask that question of, is it a or is it a like a center or second situation, or a just center?
Center. If Jeff
Okay.
McNeil is playing second base in a playoff game, perfect. Whatever. If you need to start him in center field in a playoff game, I'm going to wince a little. Because the defense is fine. He grades out so far, average to below average.
The issue is
But
you can't have that in center when Juan Soto's next to him.
That too.
That's
And
the
it's
issue.
been fine. I don't think there's been like an oh shit moment, I guess if you want to call it, with
Brother.
Jeff McNeil in center.
Brother, take it from someone who had a bad defensive center fielder and Juan Soto in right field in a playoff game. Brother.
Oh, yeah.
Brother.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. So with that being said, if they are going to trade for a center fielder, I do think it should be an everyday guy. Platoon, if it's for a platoon guy, I think you might as well just roll with McNeil and Taylor. So with that being said, I do think if they want to upgrade center field, I think it's Luis Robert or bust. I'm not interested in Cedric Mullins. I'm not interested really in a Harrison Bader reunion. I mean, who else is out there? Like, Jarren Duran doesn't seem like he's gonna get traded, and even then, I'm not sure how much of a difference he makes compared to, say, Jeff McNeil. On an overall value standpoint, because I think defensively, he's obviously going to be better than Jeff McNeil, but hitting-wise, I have a hard time seeing that. So if they want to upgrade center field, I do think they need to trade for Luis Robert or just stand pat. Because the other thing, too, is if you really want a platoon guy in center field, you have a left-handed center fielder in AAA in Drew Gilbert. He has not had an overall fantastic season, but he has been hitting better as of late. He's been playing center field mostly every single day. So, again, kind of looking at a Cedric Mullins, if you think that Cedric Mullins is, an upgrade, how much of a difference is Cedric Mullins going to make compared to maybe just giving Drew Gilbert a shot? Since June, if I do this correctly, since June, he has a 116 WRC plus in AAA, which is more than fine. That's an 845 OPS. Obviously, AAA is a huge run environment. A 116 WRC plus is great. If he's a league average hitter in center field, that's an upgrade over Tyrone Taylor. He doesn't strike out a ton, also doesn't walk a ton, but again, I do think if they want to upgrade center field and it's not Luis Robert, I think they should just give Drew Gilbert a shot. Now moving on from that, because that's all I had about center field. Unless, Justin, if you had anything else to add.
It really is a thing of there's no big guy at center field. Because even then, you could
Right.
take a look at, my God, what's his face? Lubob, and say, like, even Lubob or bust, it's like, he's not been that good.
Right. That's the other
Like,
thing.
Lubob
obviously.
may just be a bust.
Right. He could be as bad as Tyrone Taylor.
Yeah. That's
You know,
that's the concern.
yeah. I think the one saving grace, as I mentioned earlier, he is hitting lefties as bad as his overall numbers are. He's been hitting lefties all year. That's something the Mets have struggled with once again this year. So at the very least, you might have something there. But again, I do think none of these other center fielders really do anything for me unless it's Luis Robert. And even then, I'm still super skeptical and very hesitant to pull the trigger on a trade for him.
I feel like the only saving grace about Lubob is that the element of getting him out of Chicago.
Right. Because then, who knows? Again, mentioned it earlier, Gavin Sheets, Andrew Vaughn left the White Sox. They're having really good seasons with the Padres and Brewers, respectively. Who knows that could just be the same exact thing. But moving on to the bullpen, I think obviously the need for bullpen is very apparent. You got Edwin Diaz, Ryan Stanek, Reed Garrett, Jose Buto. Brooks Raley's back. He's been pitching well at Huascar Brazaban. That leaves kind of two areas for improvement as of right now being occupied by Alex Carrillo and Enrico Garcia. I think they could definitely use a eighth inning guy behind Diaz. They haven't really had that since AJ Minter went down. You know, it's been a combination of Ryan Stanek, of Reed Garrett, of Jose Buto, of Huascar Brazaban. But I think a guy like Griffin Jax, if you can get Griffin Jax and have him pitch the eighth and Diaz pitch the ninth, now we're cooking. Now I'm comfortable. Now I think this is, once again, can be a very, very good bullpen.
It really,
The other
sorry to
thing,
cut you off.
too-
It really is
Go for
crazy
it.
how much a seventh, eighth inning guy can change your opinion on a bullpen.
Because it just
It's
knocks everyone
crazy.
down a peg.
It's crazy.
Because you get Griffin Jax to pitch the eighth inning. That means Reed Garrett's pitching the seventh. That means Ryan Stanek is pitching the sixth. Like, that sounds perfect to me. In a perfect world, I want Reed Garrett in the seventh. I want Ryan Stanek in the sixth. You know? But no, Griffin Jax. I think he kind of fits a lot of what David Stern seems to like in a reliever. He has the fastball triangle. He throws a four seam. He throws a sinker. He throws a cutter. He has a changeup, and then he has his sweeper. He kind of fits just the mold of what David Stern seems to like in a lot of his relievers. You know, you see that with Reed Garrett. You see that with Huascar Brazaban. You see that a little bit with Jose Buto. You know, they throw the four seam, they throw the sinker, they have the changeup or a splitter. But again, Griffin Jax, I think, is like my top. If you are going to get one reliever if you make one move this trade deadline and it's Griffin Jax, I'm happy. Because the other thing, too, is I'm kind of getting a little bit ahead of myself, but I do think that this team does not have a lot of room for improvements, and they just need to play better. I don't really see where you can improve without making drastic changes that I don't think are necessary.
I was gonna say, I feel like the Mets have a lot of their holes aren't. You don't have an Oswald Peraza.
Right.
You just have a lot of like middling. I think is
Right.
the proper, except for like the kind of like, let's call it the bridge in the bullpen. You just have a lot of middling. You don't have like a, oh my god, I want this guy off my team yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. 'Cause, you know, like, I think the poster child for the Mets is Mark Vientos. You can't get rid of Mark Vientos because look what he did last year.
Mark Vientos, in a way, is very similar, I think, to Anthony Volpe.
I see.
In a way, not it's not a perfect comparison, but in a sense of you can't get rid of them. But it's also
Yeah.
different with Vientos because you have Beatty.
Yeah.
But in the sense of like
also-
they're just gonna be on this team, they're just gonna
Yeah.
get playing time. Like that's just a fact that is not gonna be changed until the offseason, if it is changed.
I agree. But yeah, going back to the bullpen because we'll circle back to that a little later. You know, Plan B would probably be like a David Bednar. I think it would also work really well. Like if you get a Mitch Keller and a David Bednar, fantastic. I think Bednar also fits that Stearns mold. He's the righty that throws a splitter that David Stern just seems to love. He has the fastball and the curveball. He has multiple years of control. Same thing with Griffin Jacks. Forgot to mention that. I think it just makes all the sense in the world. Moving on to the back end, I think there's a few ways they can go. If they want a lefty, Caleb Ferguson, I mentioned him in the intro of the Pirates. I think he could fit really well. He's not lights out. He doesn't throw hard. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys out. But to your point, Justin, he gets guys out. And for a guy who is your second lefty in the pen, who's probably going to pitch, going to be kind of a lefty specialist in a way, he's going to get the final 2 outs of an inning, the final out of an inning, whatever. I think he works super, super well as that. Brock Stewart, I mentioned on the Twins, he's a guy who does not have any more options, and he has very little service time. So I see him very, very similar to Huascar Broswan last year, where he doesn't have any options. He doesn't have a lot of service time, so he's not a free agent anytime soon. And I think, similar to Brosban, I think the Mets can jump on this and kind of just have him stashed for this year and next year as well. A lot of the peripherals look good. He has the fastball triangle as well. Very similar, very, very, very similar to Griffin Jacks. Fastball, cutter, sinker, changeup, sweeper. So if it's not Griffin Jacks, I would love to see Brock Stewart. I think he works out really, really well for the Mets. And again, very similar to Huascar Broswan last year. The last guy, Gregory Soto, another lefty, second lefty in the pen. He can get the last 2 outs, last out of an inning. He throws, what, does he throw 99? I think he touches 99. But he throws hard from the left side. And yeah, I think the Mets could use another lefty, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. And, disagree with me. Maybe this is a hot take. I don't think it is. I don't think the Mets need to add a starter. I also don't see room for the Mets to add a starter.
I feel like if the Mets add a starter, it has to be Joe Ryan, Dylan Cease. I feel like you're not looking for a Merrill Kelly.
No.
Maybe a Zach Allen, just because the upside. I could see that,
Yeah.
maybe. But I feel like you're either you got 2 directions for the Mets. Project or stud.
Yeah.
For the rotation.
yeah.
I don't know. It goes back and forth because my only counterpoint to that would be this Mets rotation has not been healthy all year. And I get very concerned about lingering injuries with pitchers, where that's why Luis Gil, he's not set Luis Gil's my 3-star. No, I need to see him come back.
Yeah.
Granted, those guys have come back and they've pitched, they've been a little up and down, some of them, but I get very concerned about pitchers when they had injuries earlier in the year, especially if they missed spring training.
Yeah.
Which
no,
Minaya
I
and
agree.
Montas both did, correct? Did anyone
did.
else?
Just those
Yeah.
two.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. But
Yeah. So
even
But no,
Senga's missed
that's a
time,
good point.
and that would be
I
my
think the-
only counterpoint of trying to get a middling guy. But
Yeah, I think my counterpoint to your counterpoint is I think, or I guess, answer this. Is Nolan McLean, Blade Tidwell, Brandon Sproat, could one of those guys easily be a Merrill Kelly? Like, I think it's fair to not expect, but I think you can see a world where one of those top pitching prospects in AAA come up and just pitch like a 5-starter or a 4-starter.
My counterpoint to your counterpoint of my counterpoint is that one, David Stearns doesn't want to call someone up because of injury. He's like made that clear. Like he doesn't want to call someone up and only have them have like 2 or 3 starts. He wants to give them a call like a 5 to 10 game runway at least.
Yeah.
So that plus I'd be a little bit nervous putting one of those guys in a race for the NL East when you could get a guy that at least has experience pitching, and especially if it's not going to cost you that much.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
And again, this is also one of those things of this. All this really boils down to is health, and it sucks because that's one of the few things we can't predict. We could say like, oh, this guy has good numbers, good underlying numbers. Blah, 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 blah. We could say all that we want. It sucks so much that at the end of the day, all it comes down to is health.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, just look at the Mets rotation, right?
Yeah.
The 5 starters that they wanted at the start of the year are finally healthy. We are 1 full turn of the original starting rotation, and
We're
is
about,
the end of July.
110 games in.
Right.
So it's like.
So going back to the trade deadline preview, the problems with this Mets roster, or the problems with this trade deadline, is the Mets roster, in the fact that there is going to be a roster crunch. If you want to add bullpen, there's only 2 spots available, unless you think someone like Ryan Stanek is a DFA candidate. If you trade for 2 relievers, you fill out your bullpen, you don't have that spot for optional guys until September, when you would likely bring up, an optional guy for that extra roster spot. Moving on to the rotation, it's full, right? With all else being equal, you have your 5 starters that you wanted all year long. Paul Blackburn is still on his way back. He's rehabbing. He has to have a spot on this roster unless you cut him. Tyler McGill will be here at one point in the future. I think he has an option left, so you can option him if you really want to. Yeah, he does have an option left, so you can if you really want to. And then back to the prospects, I truly think they need to leave a spot or 2 for one of these guys. A Brandon Sproat, a Blade Tidwell, a Nolan McLean. One of them, I think, needs to be called up. You need to see what they can do, either as a starter or a reliever, because I think any 3 of those guys can go to the bullpen, not seamlessly, but I think they can all be impactful in the bullpen as just kind of back end guys with the potential of pitching some high leverage innings. Then you go to your position players. Starling Marte's back. Jared Young got sent down. Jesse Winker's hurt. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out. His back has been a nagging issue. It's now back inflammation. He got, I believe, a shot, and he's now shut down. Jose Siri, I'm going to say, is out for the year until proven otherwise. And then you have Beatty, Vientos, and Mauricio. Vientos can't be optioned. Beatty, Mauricio have been impactful on the major league roster. Beatty also can't go back down to the minors, because I forget how many days it is, but call it, if he goes back down to AAA for 10 days, he loses his option, and that creates another problem for the Mets. And then you have Acuna, who is in the same boat as Beatty. So, as much as I said it's Luis Robert or bust for center field, I have no idea how the hell you make this work from a roster construction standpoint, because you cannot option some of these guys, either because they don't have options or because you're about to lose it. So for better, for worse, unless it's the bullpen, I think this is the team you're going to roll with.
Yeah. Unless you you sell low on guys. Unless you're selling low on Vientos.
Yes, I think, in my mind, in terms of trade value, from highest to lowest, I think it goes Brett Beatty, maybe Acuna, Vientos. Not even. Probably Beatty, Mauricio, Vientos, Acuna. Something like that, right? Point being, Beatty probably has the most value, but that's because he's been one of the more impactful young players on this team. Mauricio, I don't think you can trade because he has so much potential. He's shown it, and he's coming off the ACL. Vientos, I don't think you can trade either because it's selling super low. I don't think you're going to get anything back that would make sense. And then Acuna, same thing. I think you're selling low. I don't think you can get a lot back. But I do think one of those four will be traded.
Yeah.
One of Beta Vientos, Mauricio Acuna will be traded. More out of necessity than anything else. Because you can't carry all these guys and also make meaningful additions at the same time.
Yeah.
So, Justin, which one of the four goes?
I don't think any. It's tough because I don't think anyone really wants Ronnie.
Hmm.
I think Acuna is one of those guys that has more value to the team he's on than the team he would get dealt to. I'm thinking like Marwin Gonzalez, Oswaldo Cabrera-esque. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But then it's like, I almost feel like Vientos is getting pushed out.
I keep flipping between Vientos and Acuna.
Yeah. I think, yeah. Because I don't think teams are going to be as high on Beatty as the Mets are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think they're the two most likely, but I don't know.
Yeah, what that looks like remains to be seen. I don't think these guys are headlining a deal, but I think you can do a Blade Tidwell and a Luis Angel Acuna to kind of start a Luis Robert trade. Because those two guys will play in the major leagues. The White
Yeah.
Sox obviously need major league talent. Blade Tidwell can pitch in the majors. We've seen him. Luis Angel Acuna can play in the majors. We've seen him. The other thing, too, Acuna has played some center field. So if they want to try him out in center field, go for it. Not like anything matters. So, with that being said, I do think it's going to be Vientos or Acuna. Acuna at least has a role on this Mets team. Vientos, I'm not sure what his role looks like, unfortunately. He doesn't field well. It's not like he can pinch run. And he's simply not hitting enough. I do think it would be selling low, but he probably makes the most sense to move. Which sucks, because after last year, I thought we had a guy. But here we are.
Yeah.
So I do think one of those four will be moved, because, again, from just a roster management perspective, you simply can't have all of them on this roster. You have to trade one of them.
Yeah.
So that's one of my predictions. One of the four going to get traded. I also think the Mets will not trade for a starting pitcher. I don't see that happening. And I think the top four prospects of Jonah Tong, Nolan McLean, Carson Benj, and Jet Williams, I think those guys stay. I think someone like Brandon Sproat, if in the right deal, I think he is expendable.
Now, what do you think? Are you done with everything? Because
That was basically kind of my wrap up.
Now, what do you think about the report that came out about the Yankees should flip Bellinger or Dominguez for Vientos or Beatty? Maybe one of the dumbest
Deal.
reports. I don't care.
I will take Jason Dominguez right now.
I don't care how you make that trade of either Bellinger or Dominguez for either Beatty or Vantos. No, fuck no.
Yeah,
Maybe one of
that,
I think the
that
Yankees
was
should.
ridiculous. Yeah, that was
Yeah, you got a logjam in the outfield, but I'm not
stupid.
firing guys. What?
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous.
Anyways,
But yeah, kind of going over the games. It's
fucking
been a
gross.
lot of the same issues that we've been talking about. It's runners in scoring position. It's starters not giving length, and it's bullpen being overworked. It's the same game, same game, same game. Luckily, they're coming off the sweep of the Angels, so you have some momentum heading into San Francisco over the weekend. But like I mentioned before, this team largely is going to be the team that you're going to see in a week. You know, one of the four young kids are not going to be there, but Brandon Nimmo, Francisco Lindor, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Jeff McNeil. That will be your top five. If those guys will not hit, this was a flawed roster from the beginning. Francisco Lindor just broke a 0 for 31 streak on Wednesday, so hopefully that's turning for the better. Pete Alonso hit like his first home run in what felt like weeks. And, you know, the bottom of the order has been fine. Francisco Alvarez is back. Forgot to mention that. He hit a home run on Tuesday. So hopefully, we see some good Francisco Alvarez production. But, yeah, my whole take on this team as it stands is I think it needs to get a little bit healthier. I think guys like Minaya and Senga, when they're healthy, when they're fully back, will pitch 5-6 innings day in, day out. They just got to hit. It all comes back to the offense. Why in the world am I going to use my better relievers if we are losing 4-0 in the 6th inning? It all comes down to the offense. I've been saying this for months. It does not make sense to use any good reliever when you are down in a game. And because you're not using your good relievers, you're overworking the fringe guys who are then letting up more runs, so then it looks like you're getting blown out. It comes back to the offense. It comes back to the top four. Nimmo, Lindor, Soto, Alonso. If those guys aren't hitting, if those guys aren't driving in runs, again, a flawed roster from the beginning. I do think this team needs some sort of jolt. That's why I think a Luis Robert trade would make sense. Just from a kind of like vibe standpoint, just bringing in a guy who has that power potential, who still has hit lefties, who can play a really good center field day in, day out, I think kind of sends the team a message also of, hey, we believe in you. You guys go be great and, you know, go win this division. But that's also not David Stern's MO. That's why we're going to see, you know, Brock Stewart and Gregory Soto for the bullpen. And that's it. But we'll see. Because I do think this roster is flawed, as are most, right? And it says more about the players on the roster than making any more additions, if that makes sense.
Yes, that does make sense.
So, I don't know if you got anything else to
To
add
quote Michael K,
onto that.
or to paraphrase Michael K, it's about guys playing in the back of their baseball cards.
Yeah.
That's really all it comes down to.
Absolutely. And again, I don't see anybody else being traded that will make a meaningful difference to this team.
Unless a Rafi Devers trade comes out of nowhere again, like.
Right, unless Byron Buxton waives his no trade clause, right? Like, which is not happening.
Dude, the things that would do for Byron Buxton, I don't even need an outfielder.
But yeah, this team is gonna ride on the shoulders of Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto and Pete Alonso. that's really what it comes down to. And I think this rotation is good enough to supplement that offense. And I think this bullpen is good enough to supplement the pitching. It does need reinforcements. It does need another high leverage guy. But I think it is good enough. And you have guys in the minors. If I do not see one of Blade Tidwell, you know what? I've seen Blade Tidwell. If I do not see Brandon Sproat or Nolan McLean sometime in August, I will be very, very upset. Brandon Sproat has had about 3 really good starts in a row. Nolan McLean has been dominating AAA since he got there. Call up your prospects. They obviously have the juice. There's something in those kids that can just, again, lead you to the end of this regular season to get you to the playoffs. So I think a lot of the improvements are going to come internally, but that's not discounting that this team could be made better externally. So unfortunately, I do not expect a huge trade deadline from David Stearns. I expect more of the same from last year. You know, a Ryan Stanek, a Phil Maton, something like that. But when it comes to this offense, there's truly not much you can do. But with that being said, really quick, the Mets finish up their week with a weekend series in San Francisco against the Giants. Got Clint Holmes against Logan Webb, David Peterson versus Robbie Ray, and then Kodai Senga against Carson Seymour on Sunday Night Baseball. You're facing 2 of their better pitchers in Ray and Webb. Webb seemingly just always has the Mets number, so that's going to be fun to watch. And then Robbie Ray has just revitalized his career.
With the new kick
and he's a lefty.
change.
The kick change. That's all. That's the new craze.
It's a new sweeper.
But yeah, basically. That being said, Justin, anything to add on the Mets, the trade deadline, Mets trade deadline, anything like that?
Could have wild card implications this series. That's like the big thing.
Yes. A pretty big week coming up. Not to get ahead of myself, but it's the Giants and then it's the Padres. 2 teams who are currently behind the Mets.
And
while the Yankees play the Phillies.
I was gonna say the Mets are big Yankees fans this weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I don't hear Mets fans doing the roll call this weekend.
Oh my God. But with that being said, Justin, if you have nothing else, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. As always, follow all of our social media accounts at Triboro Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. We post lineups, we post final scores every single day. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, like, leave a comment. A lot of you guys watched the last episode are not subscribed, so please, please, please subscribe so you never miss an episode. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, same thing. Leave a rating, leave a review, follow us so you never miss an episode there. We truly, truly do appreciate it, and it should be a pretty exciting and anxious week. So we'll talk next time, but thank you guys again, and we'll see you in the next one.